If you want a new gaming PC build and you want to play at 1080p resolution, this video is going to be for you. I will show you the highest FPS 1080p gaming PC builds that you can get right now in 2024 for both esports type of shooters like Fortnite, Valorant and CS2, and also for high demanding AAA titles like Cyberpunk 2077, The Last of Us Part 1 and all these type of games. I will try to explain everything as simply as possible, that way if you are a beginner to PCs, you are able to understand the level of performance that you will get anyway. All the links to these PCs with the latest prices will be down below in the video description. With that being said, let's start. With the first one we have the 240 plus FPS on average 1080p system that can also run AAA titles with no issues. This one has the Ryzen 5 7600 for the CPU and the RX 6700 XT for the GPU. Most of the times I always recommend having a better GPU and a CPU that will not bottleneck your GPU, but on this case at 1080p the CPU is more important than any other resolutions, especially if you want to play esports titles at 240 plus FPS on average. With this system you will be able to run games like CS2, Valorant and even Fortnite at 240 plus FPS on average, even though if your favorite game is Fortnite I do recommend you going with an Nvidia GPU because Nvidia GPUs are more stable for Fortnite and they just work better. But I will talk about that in a second. In terms of performance, on a 15 game average from TechSpot, at 1080p, the RX 6700 XT was able to average over 100 FPS, so you can achieve over 100 FPS on high to ultra settings on high demanding titles. On this test, really high demanding games were being tested, such as The Last of Us Part 1, Cyberpunk 2077 and Hogwarts Legacy. And then the good thing about the RX 6700 XT is that even at 1440p is actually a good GPU on high to ultra settings, and on that same test I just mentioned, the 6700 XT was able to average 74 FPS, which is an amazing number at 1440p high to ultra settings on high demanding titles. So if you want to play at 1440p down the line, this system is going to be amazing as well. And as I said before, if your main game is Fortnite, then I do recommend you going with the RTX 4060, even though I do not love the price for the 4060 because you get 8 gigs of VRAM and it's about 10% slower in rasterized performance than the 6700 XT, but it's just going to be better if Fortnite is your main title. Now for the rest of the components, you have the ASRock B650M Pro RS AM5 motherboard, 32 gigs of DDR5 memory at 6000 MHz CL30 timings, which means that it's going to be really fast. Then a 1TB Gen 4 SSD, a nice looking case with 3 pre-installed fans and a front mesh panel for the best airflow. Last but not least, the power supply, we have a 600 watt 80 plus gold power supply from Apivia. This one is C-tier rated and it's going to be plenty of wattage for this type of build. The total price for this one is $930 if you go with the 6700 XT, but if you end up going with the RTX 4060, it's going to end up costing $908 when I'm recording this video. Moving up a tier, we have the 360 plus FPS on average gaming PC. This one is going to be able to average over 360 plus FPS on esports titles with no issues. And the reason why is because the CPU is the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, which is arguably the fastest CPU in the entire market and also super power efficient. Then for the CPU cooler, we have the Thermalright Phantom Spirit 120, and the other component that's different from the last system is the power supply in the Be Quiet Pure Power 12 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply, which is going to be enough wattage for this system and is A-tier rated, meaning that it's the best quality out there. But the most important thing here for you to know is that the main difference is going to be on esports titles, where on competitive settings you will be able to achieve 360 plus FPS on average in any shooter. And once again, we have the RX 6700 XT for the GPU, and as I said before, if you play Fortnite, then I do recommend you going with the RTX 4060. And don't worry, you will have every alternative with the latest prices down below in the video description. The total price for this system with the 6700 XT is $1170. And if you go with the RTX 4060, it's going to cost you $1150. And last but definitely not least, we have the most expensive system here in the 360 plus FPS on average gaming PC, ultra settings on the latest high demanding titles. This one has the 7800X3D for the CPU as well, and most of the components are the same, but the main difference here is the GPU. You get the RX 6800, which is actually more of a 1440p GPU, but you can use it for 1080p ultra settings, and it's about 25% faster in terms of performance than the RX 6700 XT. On that latest test from TechSpot I've mentioned before, the RX 6800 was able to average over 127 FPS compared to the 103 FPS from the 6700 XT. So you can safely say that you can play any title on ultra settings, even the most high demanding AAA titles, and also for future games at 1080p. And then the 6800 at 1440p was able to average 93 FPS, so it's also a high FPS 1440p GPU. So once again, if you want to upgrade to 1440p down the line, you have a great system here. And then if your main game is Fortnite, I do recommend you going with the RTX 4060 Ti 16GB version for $450, and the total price with the Nvidia GPU is $1,300, while the price for the system with the AMD GPU is going to be $1,277. Both similar in price. The RX 6800 is faster in rasterized performance compared to the 4060 Ti, but to be honest with you, at 1080p resolution, both GPUs are going to perform amazing. And those were the highest 1080p PC builds that you can get if you want the best performance at this resolution. However, you do not need this level of performance at 1080p. You can get away with a $600 gaming system for 1080p high if you prioritize the GPU, and at this price point you can get 1440p high FPS as well. So if you want the best in terms of price to performance and your favorite titles are not shooters and they are more high demanding games, then I do recommend you watching my video on the best PC builds of the month. You will have that one in the top right of the screen where I go over the best price to performance system for every resolution. And those systems are more balanced, so they are going to be amazing for esports shooters and also for AAA titles at 1440p and 4K resolution. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.